concerning that is being proposed for a profession which requires interaction with other individuals for successful representation of clients' interests. We recognize that there are many instances where in-person course offerings are limited or would require a prospective student to have to travel to organizations and other licensing boards regarding their experience. Staff sees many requests for waivers from the requirement that all training and specific upgrade courses for certification be taken online. There seems to have been a consistent supply of training courses from a couple of private sponsors and one of the larger community colleges. So these 4 courses are consistently offered, but are not easily accessed by some areas of the state. The courses for upgrade are not offered frequently due to the low demand for the course at a particular time. Pre-licensing courses taken online must meet the requirements of both the Appraisal Foundation's Course Approval Program and the International Distance Education Certification Center. Staff checked with several other states and found only one state that required the 15-hour USPAP course be taken online, Arkansas. A couple of others said that education as a result of consent order hearing was required to be in class. All others could be online. And to be transparent, this was not a full, didn't get all 50 states, but we contacted members of the area board of directors. The following states responded to our question: Texas, Florida, California, Washington, South Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, Ohio, Georgia, as they allow all education to be online. As for the other professions mentioned, many of those mentioned have mechanical or medical in nature and do require in-class or practicums. Staff did try to contact the agencies that were mentioned in the remarks. Others may take online or classroom hours and then gain real-world experience. Note a trainee gets 90 hours of classroom education and 2,500 to 3,000 hours of time with the supervisor. They're also required to be accompanied on the first 50 inspections, so they are not sent out with just online courses. Staff does recommend that these rules be adopted as presented. However, it appears that allowing the courses for upgrade to be online is of greater need at this point if the idea of having the training courses online needs additional study. 21 NCAC 57B, so 613, payment of fee required. The changes in this language that schools and course sponsors are required to submit a per student fee, remit the fee to the board, along with the roster and evaluations required by rules 06, 06, 10, 08 of this subchapter. Will now say within 30 days after the date the course is completed. There were no particular comments on this rule. The rule allows the board to go ahead and credit the student for the course, and providers have a defined time in which to pay. Staff recommends the rule be adopted as proposed. The AMC rules, 21 NCAC 57D 0202, registration renewal. This rule cleans up some language in Part A. It also adds a new Part C. In addition to the renewal fee, an appraisal management company shall submit with its renewal the annual appraisal management company fee required by the appraisal subcommittee pursuant to 12 CFR 1102.402. This rule appears to be supported and is necessary to be compliant with the ASC policy statements. There was a comment to not allow this fee to be passed to appraisers, but that was not exposed during this rulemaking. Staff recommends the rule be adopted as presented. 21 NCAC 57D 0501, general provisions. This rule states that for appraisal assignments of property in North Carolina as defined in 93E 4I, an appraisal management company shall compensate fee appraisers in accordance with the provisions of 15 USC 1601 etc. and 12 CFR 1026.42. There were several comments in opposition to the proposed rule. Most of the comments you've heard today believe that the statute only allows for private research firm studies or educational study to determine CNR. There are also comments that fees paid by the AMC should never be the gauge of what is customary and reasonable. Just because some appraisers have accepted low fees from an AMC does not mean that fee is customary and reasonable. One comment did state that while they agree with the overall intent of these rules and underlying statute, they believe that clarification needs to be made to the statute before the enactment of these rules to ensure that they provide the required and desperately needed protection for appraisers from abuses of this policy. As far as the staff comments, the board has been under constant pressure to adopt rules on customary and reasonable fees since the statute went into effect in January of last year. There have been many committee meetings and board discussions on what was the intent of the statute. There was also a bill introduced in the last year's session of the North Carolina General Assembly to try and provide clarity, but to date it has not passed. Just to clarify an earlier comment on what is actually said in Dodd-Frank, it says in 15 U.S.C. 1639 EI, customary and reasonable fee. 1. In general, lenders and their client and their agents shall compensate their fee appraisers at a rate that is customary and reasonable for appraisal services performed in the market area of the property being appraised. Evidence for such fees may be established by objective third-party information such as government agency fee schedules and academic studies and independent private sector surveys. Fee studies shall exclude assignments ordered by known appraisal management companies. So the language does say may and not shall. There was also, in regards to the language that was the clarification that was attempted in the General Assembly last year, a letter sent by the Federal Trade Commission, who is involved in a lawsuit over the issue of customary and reasonable fees in the state of Louisiana, commenting on the proposed legislation, and it issued the following comment: as alleged in the FTC Louisiana board complaint, we believe that the final rule does not require states to impose upon agencies standards for customary and reasonable fees beyond what federal law provides, or set customary and reasonable fees at any particular level. The FTC also in the last couple of weeks has commented in the Louisiana case that when the board is controlled by active market participants, it is therefore subject to active state supervision. The board has also heard from their own counsel as well as outside counsel who have sought to provide insight on this matter that the use of what is referred to as presumption 1 has not been removed in the current statute. Staff comments. Staff believes that the rule presented does provide a starting point for CNR rules while we're waiting on further clarification for the pending court case and possibly the General Assembly. If there is further clarification that the board can adopt more prescriptive rules on CNR, then there should also be an evaluation to determine if proper active state supervision is in place. The board cannot adopt additional rules at this point, so it's up to the board to decide should this rule be in place presently or not adopt any rules on CNR until we have further clarification. 21 NCAC 57D0502, definition of market area. This rule states that the market area shall be identified by county or metropolitan statistical area MSA as defined by the North Carolina Office of State Budget and Management. There were some general comments in support of this rule, but no specific observations. There were a couple of specific objections to this rule. Market area is a factor considered in each and every appraisal assignment and does not always fall under the county or MSA. Please clarify if adopted. The proposed language is more restrictive than the interim final rule, TILA and related federal guidance. This would require AMC to calculate CNR threshold fees only at the county or MSA level. The interim rule provides more options, and it states that the interim rule says for purposes of paragraph F, the geographic market of the property being appraised means the geographic market relevant to compensation levels for appraisal services. Depending on the facts and circumstances, the relevant geographic market may be a state, MSA, metropolitan division, area outside of an MSA, county, or other geographic area. Staff has noted these comments specifically that market area is a factor for each and every appraisal assignment. Depending on the features of the property, it may require appraiser to be selected from a larger or smaller designated area. Staff would recommend the board consider this rule further and determine if there is a better way to define market area, or if the expectations of an AMC in defining or either a better way to define the market area or define the expectations of an AMC in defining market area for an assignment. And in 21 NCAC 57D 0503 records, this rule is to require an AMC to retain all records and documents supporting its determination of customary and reasonable fees, and shall produce such records to the appraisal board pursuant to 21 NCAC 57D 0308. Such data shall be retained for 5 years. There was mostly support for this rule. One comment stated that the rule should include all bids for each and every assignment sent out in mass mailings. This was not exposed for the current rulemaking. Staff recommends that the board adopt this rule as presented if 21 NCAC 57D 0501 is adopted. And that concludes the staff's comments on the rules.
Thank you, Mr. Marcus. I want to reiterate that if approved by the board, the proposed rule amendments and adoptions will become effective July 1st, 2018. The record of this proceeding will be available for public inspection at the board's office during regular business hours. The board will consider the verbal comments made today as well as written comments, and it will, in due time, render a decision on the proposed rulemaking action. The members of the board and I would like to thank all of you for your attendance in this proceeding. This hearing is now concluded. We will take a recess so that the court reporter, who we thank for your services, can clear. And then we'll talk about whether we should tackle a few more of the agendas before rulemaking, because we have asked our outside attorney to join us so that she would be available if that board member needs some clarification on the issue. We are in recess.